and I'll show it to you. And here's his argument. So if you look in your Bible, in verse 3 of Matthew 24, right? And this is Francis' argument, and it'll be in your notes, but I want to walk you through it. As Jesus was sitting on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, saying, "Tell us when these things will be." And Frank says, that's question 1. These things when the temple is destroyed. He argues that's question 1. And then he says, question 2, what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age? Now, Tom Wright would say that's really all one question with extra comments or extra layers added onto it. And Frank says, no, it's 2 separate questions. Okay? And Frank will argue this is how Jesus answers it. The first part of the question, tell us when these things will be, is answered from verse 4 to verse 36. That's what he argues, okay? And it's in your notes, so you don't have to write this down. I just want you to look at your Bible. Now, verse 36 says, but, that's the first word, there's a change of that day and hour. Which day and hour? Well, says Franz, what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age? That's the question he answers in verse 36 and following. So that, says Franz, refers to the second coming of Christ. So you don't get to the second coming until verse 36, according to Mr. Franz. Now, I don't really care which way you go with it. It's not going to make a lot of difference to what you need to do, what you need to preach, what you need to live in the Christian community. The mindset you have, the parabolic mindset of chapter 13, it's not going to change any of that. Nothing. It changes nothing of substance, except it changes probably the way you begin to think. So, in chapter 30, in verse 36 and following, of that day and hour, not even the angels of heaven, nor the Son, but the Father alone knows. No one knows in verse 36. So when is Christ coming back? Who knows? No one. Not even the angels in heaven. Only the Father knows. Okay? A little thing I want to talk about for a second is the word parousia. Have any of you heard of that? If you've done a little bit of Greek, or if you've done a BTH or an MD, you should have heard of the word parousia. Yeah. And let me now take you to just stretch your heads a little bit, just a little bit. The word parousia can mean the coming of someone, or it can mean the presence of someone. So, the parousia of Samicia is now here. See, she's here. She's not coming. She's here. Who's missing today? Anyone missing?
Sagar.
Who? Sagar. Okay. The parousia of Sagar is not yet here. Is he coming? Do we know if he's coming? Is he coming? Okay. So the parousia of Sagar is expected. Do you understand the difference? Samicia is now here, and she is present, but Sagar is not yet here. So this is the arrival, and this is the coming. It's used the same word. And which way do you go in these verses with that word? Is it coming or present? You've got to do that work and work it out yourself. Here's a second thing I want to say to you. And that is what is called a semantic range of what a word means. It's like this. The word parousia, or its verbal stem, what it comes from, the verb to come, in the Septuagint Bible covers 7 different Hebrew verbs. It could mean this, 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 it could mean this. Whoa! How do you decide? And when you listen to me, or when you listen to one another, how do you decide what he or she means? What do you think? Just give me a little feedback. How do you decide what your wife is saying? How do you decide what your children are saying? How do you decide what your parents mean? How do you decide? Behold, the perusia of tea. Okay? Which is good. How do you make a decision about how to interpret what somebody says to you? I want you to talk to me. Come on, you all do this every day.
I think there's a bit of trust.
Trust is one thing, yes?
If you trust that person, you'll be like, oh, okay, I'll believe what he's saying.
Okay, because you trust the person. What did you say?
According to the situation.
According to the situation, it's contextual.
Yeah, because ball can be anything. It could be a tennis ball, it could be football, it could be basketball, anything.
It could be a dance,
Yeah.
a ball. It could be we're having a ball. It could be a party.
Yeah.
We need to read context. You do not understand words unless you understand their context. Right? And that's exegesis. That's hermeneutics 101. All of you guys have done hermeneutics. So if you pull a rapture out of here, all of a sudden, you better have a context for rapture. If you pull one out, I don't think it's there, but that's neither here nor there. So you understand words according to their context. Secondly, words can mean different things in different contexts. So we need to know what the word actually means before we start thinking, oh, it must mean this, it must mean that. Okay? So what I'd like you to do, I want you to read Matthew 24 and 25 again. I know you read it yesterday, but I want you to read it again. And I want you to think about what Matthew is trying to do here. Okay? Not what you think. Just park all your Matthew 24 stuff that you think about raptures and blah, blah, blah. What is Matthew trying to say? What is he trying to communicate? In all of his discourses, in each of these ones, he sets it up. The disciples came and asked him a question. And here too, they asked him a question. And he uses that question to do a teaching on. This is what you need to understand. And that's how Matthew shapes these sayings of Jesus, this teaching of Jesus. Right? So he uses a question of the disciples. Why? Because these questions emerge in the community of Jesus' followers. So Matthew is taking those questions. Hey, Jesus, when's all this going to happen? Tom Wright will say, no, there's only one question. The question the disciples are asking, Jesus, when are you going to come and reign and take over the place? So they're not thinking second coming. They're thinking, Jesus, when are you going to take over? When are you going to be the king? You know, in John's gospel and in some of the other gospels, especially with the 2 feedings, hey, we want this man for king. He's good. He can feed everybody. He's amazing. Jesus, when's it going to happen? And Jesus is trying to say, I'm going to die. And they don't get the context. And I think sometimes we don't either. And I think what we need to do is listen to what Matthew's saying. Matthew's saying, hey, these disciples are right confused. They've been confused here, and they're still confused. And when the cross comes, they all run away. And Matthew is trying to say, that's like us. We constantly get confused. But this is going to be some of the signs. There will be many crises. There will be this. There will be that. There will be rumours of wars and wars. And there were lots of wars in that time, as there are now. I think India and Pakistan, they have a regular little biff on the border, and so on and so on. All over the world. In China, the wicked people are locked up. Yeah. In Yemen, the Saudis are just absolutely crushing those people. There's plenty of wars going on that you don't hear about. But those wars around Jerusalem, when Titus was coming down, he's coming, wars and rumours of wars. And then Vespasian